how does it feel to have been vulnerable like that in a room of 24,000 people and I don't know how many millions of people watching at home?
It feels human, I think. I think being an athlete, people kind of disregard that side of us, the human side of things. And, people say so many things like, number 3 in the world and you're doing this or you're playing like this and you should be better and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've already, if I stopped and didn't pick up a racket tomorrow, I have a career that so many people would dream of. But I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt on the court.
Karoline Leavitt is the target of a $25 million lawsuit after she made racial remarks about Coco Gauff during a live televised appearance. The comment was caught on camera, swiftly spread online, and then sparked a heated discussion. Coco did not refrain from making noise. An apology did not seem to be accepted by her. She took this issue all the way to court after filing a lawsuit. Have you ever seen someone on live television and heard something so offensive that you knew their life was about to drastically change? You are welcome to share your thoughts in the comments area. Karoline Leavitt was taking part in a late-night political show at the time. It was one of those occasions where people were yelling over one another and trying to score points by making offensive remarks. Sports activism and the cultural impact of young black players were at issue. The mention of Coco Gauff's name at one point in the talk led Karoline to make a remark that she undoubtedly wishes she could retract now. Millions of people watching in real time heard the statement, which was recorded on live television and was not altered, taken out of context, unclear, or blatantly racist. The studio went cold. The other panelists appeared uncomfortable. The host's expression became blank, as if he was shocked by what he had just heard. However, the harm had already been done. Anything that goes live cannot be undone. Social media took off in a matter of seconds. Every social media outlet, including Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, had footage of a comment. Hashtags were popular right away. People were calling for responsibility, apologies, and action. Millions of people shared the video, with everyone from ordinary fans to well-known celebrities commenting. When this occurred, Coco Gauff was at home in Florida. She wasn't even paying attention to the show. Notifications began to appear on her phone. Her team is attempting to figure out what to do, friends are texting, and family members are calling. When she finally saw the video, it seems that she watched it multiple times in an attempt to process what she was hearing. This wasn't merely disrespectful or unpleasant. This was an obvious assault on her humanity and identity. As she made a choice, her parents sat with her. She was not going to overlook this. She refused to accept a meek apology or act as if nothing had happened. She intended to bring a $25 million lawsuit alleging civil rights violations, emotional distress, and slander. She also intended to make this as widely known as she could. Coco gave a press conference the following day. Reporters crowded the area. Cameras were positioned everywhere, and microphones were set up in anticipation of her remarks. Wearing a basic blue jacket, she entered with a composed yet resolute demeanor. She then revealed everything. She claimed that she was the target of racial remarks aired on live television. Remarks intended to disparage her identity, and she was suing Karoline Leavitt for $25 million. The reporters gasped. This was more than just a critique of the feelings. This was a court case. Significant, costly public legal action. Coco made it apparent that she wasn't the only one involved. It was intended to convey the idea that racism has repercussions, whether it occurs on or off camera. She simply stated the facts in a composed and straightforward manner without raising her voice or becoming agitated. That demonstrated that she wasn't responding on emotion, which greatly increased its impact. This choice was well considered. Karoline Leavitt responded quickly and angrily. She claimed that it was an error, that Coco was overreacting, and that she was being used politically, exactly the wrong thing to say when you are accused of uttering racist remarks. It only becomes worse when you double down and claim the victim is overreacting. It demonstrates that you don't understand why what you stated was incorrect. The broadcast's network released a statement that was obviously written by solicitors attempting to evade liability. It was one of those well-crafted non-apologies that shows compassion but doesn't actually acknowledge wrongdoing. They were less concerned about the actual harm caused by permitting racist statements on their website and more concerned about advertisers quitting and possible legal repercussions. On this, the media community was divided. Some media sites defended Karoline by claiming that free speech existed or that people are now too sensitive. However, Coco tennis luminaries, current players, athletes from other sports, and celebrities received nearly unanimous support from the sporting community. Everyone was sharing encouraging messages. Coco's name became a rallying cry for media racism to be held accountable and punished. However, Coco was dealing with a lot in secret while everything was happening in the public eye. It's difficult enough to fight in public. Fighting it and coping with the psychological effects of being publicly assaulted because of your race are two different things. According to sources, Coco experienced periods of uncertainty, questioning if she was prepared for this battle and whether filing the complaint was the best course of action. Her family and friends helped her get through it. Her pal allegedly told her in one discussion that she didn't pick this particular moment. She was chosen for the event, and she was handling it more bravely than anybody else could. Knowing that this was more than just her and that others were observing and would be impressed by how she handled it was probably what kept her going. The litigation proceeded. Each side made their case. Karoline's defense attempted to claim that Coco was being unduly sensitive, that there was a misunderstanding, and that she didn't mean it the way it sounded. However, that defense falls flat when you have video proof of what was said and millions of people heard it in the same way. The comment, the circumstances, the public's rapid response, and the emotional damage it caused were all displayed by Coco's legal team. They disclosed how the comment was made with the deliberate objective of demeaning Coco because of her race. They showed a trend of similar remarks made by Karoline in the past. They made the argument that this was a part of a larger pattern of behavior rather than an isolated incident. When the verdict was announced, the courtroom was crowded. Karoline Leavitt was found guilty of slander and human rights violations by the judge following hours of discussion. Additionally, the network was found guilty of permitting offensive language on their website. Damages were granted, but the precise sum wasn't made public right once. Coco won handily and decisively, and the network was compelled to make obligatory changes and air an official apology during prime time. And Karoline Leavitt had to cope with the fallout from believing she could make racial statements against one of the most well-known players in the world without facing any consequences. Watching this slide from a remark spoken in a matter of seconds to a protracted legal struggle that resulted in a significant decision against her must have been heartbreaking at first. The way this case expanded beyond Coco and Karoline is astounding. It turned into a test case to see if racist words made by well-known people in media settings may have actual repercussions. For years, people have been able to continue with their professions while making offensive remarks on television and offering meek apologies. According to Coco's lawsuit, that is no longer acceptable. Since athletes, particularly black athletes, have been subjected to racial criticism for decades, the sports world took notice. In many ways, it has been accepted as a natural aspect of being in the spotlight. However, Coco's resolve to take legal action in retaliation created a new standard. She demonstrated that athletes don't have to put up with this kind of behavior. They can succeed by demanding responsibility. Coco expressed her thoughts in an interview following the ruling. This wasn't about winning or making money, she claimed. It was about being noticeable and ensuring that others are as well. She wanted others to know that even when your voice trembles and the world tries to quiet you, it still matters. Millions of people who experience discrimination in their daily lives found resonance in that message. Karoline's career was immediately and severely impacted. She was dropped by the network. She was not booked by other media sources. Her reputation was completely destroyed. She went from having a rising platform as a political analyst to being unemployed in the field. All because of a single racist remark that she believed she could get away with. Beyond the litigation, the network also had to deal with consequences. Advertising was pulled by sponsors. The number of viewers decreased. To avoid such mishaps, they had to develop new oversight protocols and training initiatives. The entire organization had to face how they had permitted this to occur in the first place. Coco's actions required incredible bravery. As one of the world's best tennis players, she was already juggling the demands of representing sponsors, controlling expectations, managing injuries, and training. Most people would be devastated to add a high-profile lawsuit to all of that, but she handled it with poise and resolve, refusing to give up under pressure. The lawsuit also revealed how racism in sports criticism is frequently ignored. It has been institutionalized for so long that people no longer even notice when analysts and commentators make remarks about black athletes that they would never make about white players. Everyone was compelled by Coco's case to take notice and recognize that this is an actual issue that requires attention. Coco's use of her platform in this manner is also worth discussing. She might have just issued a statement denouncing the insults and moved on. The majority of athletes would have taken that action, but she chose to battle to make it a legal issue in order to compel accountability through the legal system, which conveys a far stronger message than any social media post could. The complaint's $25 million figure was also noteworthy. It wasn't a small sum. It was sufficient to cause pain, to make people take it seriously, and to demonstrate the actual financial consequences of racist remarks. The message was evident whether or not she received the whole amount. This type of conduct is costly. Karoline's attempt to act as though there had been a misunderstanding was especially flimsy. You can't act as though no one understood what you meant when you say something that millions of people instantly interpret as racist. Everyone understood exactly what was being said and why it was incorrect, as seen by the group's response. The network's role in this is also crucial. The platform was provided by them. At first, they attempted to downplay the situation and broadcast the comment. The court's decision to hold them accountable alongside Karoline established that media companies had an obligation to stop the airing of racist information. They can't simply allow pundits to say whatever they want and then say it has nothing to do with them. It's also noteworthy that Coco returned to tennis after all of this with fresh vigor and determination. The court struggle may have distracted, irritated, or exhausted her. Rather, she used it as inspiration. After the ruling, each game she played seemed like a further proclamation that racist remarks would neither silence or weaken her. This case will definitely have a long-lasting legacy. It created a precedent for media personalities to be held accountable for racist statements. It made clear that athletes have more legal choices than just making public statements. It demonstrated how taking a stand may result in real change and consequences for people who believe they are untouchable, even when doing so is challenging and draining. Thus, on live television, Karoline Leavitt made racist comments about Coco Gauff. In response, Coco filed a $25 million lawsuit, which she ultimately won. Seeing a career collapse due to a single remark must have been a terrible moment of remorse. Click the like and subscribe buttons to discover more tales of people dealing with actual consequences for their decisions.